How's it going, guys? JP back at you once again, bring you guys episode number 7 in my entire DVD and Blu-ray collection. This is where we go DVD by DVD and Blu-ray by Blu-ray through my collection, talk about each film very briefly, and I just show you guys what I got. So with that said, let's jump right into it. First up, we have The Dead Zone. This is Stephen King's The Dead Zone or David Cronenberg's The Dead Zone, or both of them. I do remember this film being very good, very technically well directed. Of course, it's Cronenberg, but that's kind of all I remember. I remember the basic plot of it, the idea of the Dead Zone, all that stuff, but I can't really remember how it played out. So this is probably one I need to revisit here sooner or later, maybe do like a David Cronenberg 7-day theme week or a marathon or something. Because I can't really remember The Dead Zone that much. It's definitely not, one of my favorite Stephen King movies, but, it's definitely a well-made movie. After that, we have Dead Birds, which is what it looks like to be is a Western horror film. I've actually not watched this yet, but anytime I see a horror film that looks like it could be set in the Old West, I have to pick it up based on intrigue alone. I feel like, the Old West is definitely a good place to set a horror film. Unfortunately, it doesn't really happen that often. So, anytime I see one, I try to grab it because I just think that it's very underused setting for a horror film. And this one looks pretty cool. I think I've heard some decent things about this one, so I will check this one out sooner or later. I grabbed this at a video store who, is still in business, but I don't really rent stuff there too much, but if they have some DVDs for sale, I'll go and check them out and pick them up. And there's not a whole lot of horror, but when I do find it, I try to grab them. So, Dead Birds. After that, we have Deadtime Stories. This is George Romero Presents Deadtime Stories Volume 1. Way back when this came out in like 2010, I had heard about it and I was like, wow, George Romero, an anthology, what could be better? Thinking of Creepshow and stuff like that. This is so cool. I seen it on DVD with the badass lenticular cover at Walmart. It was $15 and I was like, sold, and I bought it, took it home, watched it, and I was like, really? I think that might be the worst blind buy that I've ever had so far, and, not the... it's just a terrible movie. There's nothing good about it. I think Wet, the one with the mermaid, was like semi-interesting. But I haven't watched this since I bought it 5 years ago, and I'm almost curious to go back and check it out just to simply see if it was as bad as I remember. And you never hear anybody talk about this one either. There was a Volume 2 that I never picked up simply based on the fact that Part 1 was so awful. But maybe one day I'll grab it. Deadtime Stories is a terrible movie, though. After that, we have IFC Presents A Decade Under the Influence, the 70s films that changed everything. I grabbed this because I thought it was a horror documentary. It's not really a horror documentary. They only really touch on like The Exorcist and Jaws, and I think they might touch on Carrie. But it's mainly, mainstream films like Taxi Driver, The Godfather, not really horror films. But it is still an interesting documentary because they talk a lot about the culture at the time when these films were made in the 70s. And if you like that era of filmmaking, there's stuff to be pulled from this documentary. So I do recommend checking it out, even though they just lightly touch on the horror films. I would love to see a documentary focusing on 70s horror films. That would be really cool. So somebody out there who's, smarter than me, make that. So yeah, A Decade Under the Influence. That one's not too bad. After that, we have Decoys, which is kind of like a Species ripoff, but it's like made for the Sci-Fi Channel. But think of Sci-Fi Channel before, the last couple years, early Sci-Fi Channel. And, they typically had some better movies back then. And this one's kind of no exception. It's a solid, below average, almost average Species type ripoff. I mean, it's alright. It's worth a watch. If you can grab this for $1 or $2, it's definitely worth a watch. It's kind of fun. So Decoys. After that, we have Decoys, the second Seduction, and this is, you know, same along the same lines. It's just a okay little bad movie, and I think it's, you know, right there with the first Decoys. I think they're about the same in quality, about the same in entertainment. They're pretty much the same film. So Decoys, the second Seduction, I recommend grabbing both of them for under $5 and doing a nice little double feature. It won't be the worst way to spend a Monday night. After that, we have Deliverance. I grabbed this for $5. I love this film. It's been years since I've seen it, though. So good. It's like that survival horror type shit that I like, out in the woods. I love those type of films. I'm actually waiting to watch this. I want to pick up another one called Surviving the Game with Ice-T, Gary Busey, Rutger Hauer. That's a great movie, and I kind of want to do a nice little double feature with this one being Deliverance and Surviving the Game. Very disturbing scene in this one. I'm sure everybody knows it. I grabbed this for $5 at Big Lots. There's some decent special features on here. I can't wait to actually watch this again and revisit it. It's been a while. After that, we have Demonic Toys. Now, this is actually a full moon release that was, I guess, released in Mexico, because I think Full Moon lost the rights to Demonic Toys but still wanted to sell it on their website, so they kind of produced a Mexico release and then ported it into the United States and sold it on their site as an import, which would be legal. I don't really know, typical shaky Charles Band shit right there, but Demonic Toys is an awesome full moon film. It's one of those full moon films that I feel like best represents full moon, what you're getting out of full moon. So anytime somebody, you know, is curious about full moon, I always tell them start with Demonic Toys, because you'll know if you'll like full moon by watching Demonic Toys. You know, as Puppet Master and Subspecies, those are probably the three big ones that I feel will, you know, let anybody know if they'll be a fan of Full Moon. Demonic Toys is probably my favorite next to the Puppet Master films. It's kind of my go-to Full Moon film. It has that Full Moon feel to it, a lot of plot holes, but it's just a fun, entertaining ride. Just classic Full Moon right here, so definitely grab Demonic Toys if you have never seen it. After that, we have Demonic Toys 2, which is just pure awfulness. This is not good Full Moon. This is like modern Full Moon that completely lost touch to what Full Moon was, and it kind of pisses me off, honestly. Like, this is a trash movie. It's not even worth grabbing at all, and it's sad, you know. It's sad to see, you know, because I love Demonic Toys, and this one is just pure garbage. So I do not recommend grabbing Demonic Toys 2. Yeah, I don't really know what else to say about it. It's pitiful. After that, we have a really good film, and that is The Den. This is IFC Midnight. They released this last year. This did make my top 10 of 2014, I believe so. Really cool found footage, mockumentary style film. Kind of like a chat roulette gone bad story. Just a really interesting, well edited, just overall well done movie. Very creepy, very effective. Just a great movie. I highly recommend The Den. It's definitely one of the best surprises of last year. Really enjoyed The Den. After that, we have this is a fun one. The Dentist. It's been a while since I've watched this one, a couple years, but this is a cool movie. Very psychological, weird 90s horror. I kind of think that if you watch like this and The Ice Cream Man back to back, you have this weird 90s psychological horror double feature that just plays so well together. I've done that before, and you know, it's a weird one. It's definitely an odd one, but I highly recommend The Dentist. It's a cool one. After that, we have a double feature here. We have Deranged and Motel Hell. Deranged is probably the most accurate tale of Ed Gein that I've seen. 70s style, came out the same year as Texas Chainsaw, based on the same guy, except for this one's an actual kind of tale of Ed Gein. Definitely a solid movie. It's kind of a bit weird. Definitely uses this odd film style where there's like a narrator who like talks and is like physically present in the film. So I've always kind of found that to be very weird. It's one I probably need to revisit. It's been a few years since I watched it. And then Motel Hell, which I've never been as big of a fan as most people are of Motel Hell. I do like it. I think it's a good movie. It's a fun time, but I've just never really been like, oh, Motel Hell is so good. You know, I've never been one of the people that really like, you know, championing it. You know, it seems like there's people that just love this film, and I like it. I'm just not the biggest fan. But by no means do I think it's bad or unworthy of its praise. It's just not personally one that I praise as high as everybody else. So, Motel Hell and Deranged. After that, we have The Descent. This one is a really, really good film, but I kind of missed the boat on when it came out, and I've always just kind of thought that it was a little bit overhyped and overrated. It's a really good movie, but I just don't love it like other people do, much like Motel Hell. But it's definitely really good. I just, you know, the claustrophobic underground, you know, setting is one of my favorites. I always kind of enjoy those like cave or you know, underground setting films like Day of the Dead and stuff like that. Definitely creepy, psychological, all that stuff. So The Descent. After that, we have another Stephen King film. This one is not very good. It's Desperation, Mick Garris. Mick Garris really dropped the ball on this one. I did not like this at all. It's actually pretty bad, and it's 131 minutes of wasted time. I really didn't like this one. I will probably never revisit this one. It's just one that I don't really like at all, and I don't even remember much about it. I just felt like it was a mess and it was convoluted. I think I did a review on it a while back, so maybe check that out if you're interested in my opinions back then. After that, we have Detention. I know nothing about this one. I have not seen it. It looks like some sort of horror comedy or something. It's probably one that'll take me forever to finally watch because I'm just usually not a fan of these type of films. I grabbed this at a family video for $1.50, so probably worth that. But you know, just I'm skipping it for a while. After that, we have Devil. This is M. Night Shyamalan, and I think he either wrote this one or directed this one, or produced this one. I can't really remember, but I thought it was really good, and I don't like his films. So if he was just a producer, that makes sense. If he directed it, that makes no sense. So yeah, this one was really cool. Contained horror film, people stuck in the elevator, one of them's the devil. That's a great film, and you know, based on the description to me, like, that's what I like. I like small, contained, small group of characters, all, you know, paranoid and stuff like that. That's right up my alley, and this one didn't disappoint. I was surprised. So yeah, Devil, definitely one that is a bit underrated in my opinion. Good stuff. After that, we have The Devil's Chair. This one was kind of like a Hellraiser ripoff. It's not very good. I don't recommend it. I really don't remember a whole lot about it. It's just not very good. After that, we have Disturbia. This one was really good. This is kind of like your Rear Window modern remake type, inspired by things. Shia LaBeouf, who I do really like. Really cool PG-13 style thriller here. I've always liked this one since it came out, and you know, I always kind of recommend this one to people. it could have been a total failure, but I feel like the thriller aspect of it works. And I've always kind of liked that Fright Night, Rear Window, Burbs type, like spying on the neighbor type shit. So Disturbia is definitely one of those cool ones that kind of follow that blueprint. After that, we have Dog Soldiers, which is getting a Blu-ray release from Scream Factory finally. So I'll probably be able to retire this DVD. This is one of my favorite werewolf films, easily. It's definitely top 5. Just good stuff. I love the way the werewolves look in this one. Love the concept. It's kind of that contained horror. It's a siege film, which I love. I love the siege narrative. You know, contained horror siege narrative. That's all my favorite stuff right there. So Dog Soldier is definitely a really solid werewolf film. And finally, for this episode, we have Dogs, which I've never been the biggest fan of, and I've had this DVD for a long time. It's since gotten a Blu-ray release, but you know, this DVD was out of print for a while. You know, it's just, I don't know, I normally like films like this. I feel like this one just kind of dropped the ball and missed the mark a little bit, but it has been, you know, probably since like 2010 since I've watched this, so I probably need to give it a rewatch pretty soon. Maybe pick up the Blu-ray, who knows, I don't really want to upgrade for that, but I don't know. See you guys next time with another version, another episode of my entire DVD and Blu-ray collection.